Wednesday, June 24th, 2026. Today's World News Headline Summary. 1. CNN. 1-1. Source says acting spy chief Bill Polt begins mass firings. Bill Polt, the newly appointed acting director of National Intelligence, DNI, has aggressively initiated large-scale job cuts during his very first full week on the job. Despite entirely lacking prior intelligence or national security experience, Polt quickly demanded a comprehensive list of employees across the 18 intelligence agencies he now oversees. Sources indicate that his restructuring heavily targets the National Counterterrorism Center and the National Counterintelligence and Security Center. Critics and top Democrats have sounded the alarm, officially warning that making such rapid structural changes without congressional consultation places national security at extreme risk. Quoting an internal source, the situation was described ominously. The deep state firings have begun, fueling concerns of political retaliation. Nevertheless, President Trump has publicly backed the cuts, arguing that the agency has remained overstaffed for far too long. Consequently, the unprecedented speed of these terminations has sent shockwaves throughout the U.S. intelligence community. Initiate. Verb. 개시하다, 착수하다. The administration decided to initiate large-scale job cuts immediately. Comprehensive. Adjective. 종합적인, 포괄적인. The committee demanded a comprehensive list of all employees. Oversee. Verb. 감독하다, 관리하다. The DNI oversees 18 different intelligence agencies. Restructure. Verb. 구조조정을 하다. The company needs to restructure its operations to survive. Sound the alarm. Idiom. 경고하다, 비상벨을 울리다. Top politicians sounded the alarm over risks to national security. Ominously. Adverb. 불길하게. The dark clouds gathered ominously over the city. Retaliation. Noun. 보복, 안갚음. The firings fueled concerns of political retaliation. Overstaffed. Adjective. 인력이 과잉임. The president claimed that the agency has been overstaffed for years. Shockwave. Noun. 충격파, 파장. The unexpected decision sent shockwaves throughout the community. 시사용어 해설. DNI, Director of National Intelligence, 국가정보국장. 9/11 테러 이후 분산된 미국 정보기관, CIA, FBI 등 18개를 하나로 총괄 지휘하기 위해 신설된 최고 정보 책임자 직책입니다. Deep State, Deep State. 합법적인 선거로 선출된 정부 밖에서 국가 정책을 은밀하게 좌지우지한다고 믿어지는 기득권 관료 세력이나 비밀 집단을 뜻하는 정치 용어입니다. 주로 정치적 반대파나 기성 관료를 공격할 때 사용됩니다.
1-2. A ransom note about Nancy Guthrie's disappearance says she died. A newly uncovered ransom note related to the deeply unsettling disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, claims that the elderly woman has died. According to law enforcement sources, the note revealed that the kidnappers did not intend to kill her, but she tragically passed away shortly after her abduction in February. CNN reported that multiple ransom notes had been sent to local media outlets in Tucson, Arizona. Authorities and news organizations have agreed to temporarily withhold the specific contents of the messages so that any future communications with the suspects can be authenticated. Despite extensive searches across the rugged desert terrain near the U.S.-Mexico border, volunteer teams and the FBI have not yet located her body. The Guthrie family and the FBI have currently declined to make any immediate public comments regarding this grim development. Vocabulary. Uncover. Verb. 발견하다, 알아내다. The investigation uncovered new evidence related to the case. Unsettling. Adjective. 불안하게 하는, 동요시키는. The documentary revealed deeply unsettling truths about the industry.
Ransom. Noun. 몸값,
배상금. The kidnappers demanded a huge ransom for his safe return. Abduction. Noun. 납치, 유괴. The police are treating the disappearance as an abduction. Temporarily. Adverb. 일시적으로. The road will be temporarily closed for emergency repairs. Withhold. Verb. 보류하다, 숨기다. The police decided to withhold the victim's name until the family is notified. Authenticate. Verb. 진위 여부를 확인하다. Experts were called in to authenticate the historic documents. Extensive. Adjective. 광범위한, 대대적인. They conducted an extensive search of the surrounding forest. Rugged. Adjective. 바위투성이에, 험준한. The hikers struggled to cross the rugged mountain terrain. Grim. Adjective. 암울한, 비관적인. The economic forecast paints a grim picture for the next quarter. 시사용어 해설. Ransom note. 몸값 요구 편지. 유괴나 납치 사건에서 범인들이 인질을 돌려보내는 대가로 금전을 요구하며 보내는 메모나 편지를 뜻합니다. Authenticate. 진위 확인. 수사 과정에서 범인이 보낸 편지나 단서가 진짜 범인으로부터 온 것인지를 과학적 수사나 내부 정보 대조를 통해 진짜임을 증명하는 절차입니다. 1-3. Meta is now designing its own, cheaper AI smart glasses. Meta announced a brand new line of AI-powered smart glasses designed entirely in-house, signaling a deeper strategic push into the rapidly growing wearable technology sector. This innovative move has become a crucial new battlefront in the highly competitive artificial intelligence race among global tech giants. The most significant change that mainstream consumers will notice is the much more accessible price tag. Starting at just $299, the new Meta glasses are significantly cheaper than the latest Ray-Ban collaborative models, which retail beginning at $379. Industry experts believe this aggressive pricing strategy will fundamentally help propel AI hardware into the mass consumer market. By lowering the financial barrier to entry, Meta aims to ubiquitize its artificial intelligence ecosystem directly onto users' faces. Vocabulary. In-house. Adjective/adverb. 사내. 자체적으로. The company decided to develop the software in-house instead of outsourcing. Wearable. Adjective/noun. 착용할 수 있는 기기. Smartwatches are the most popular type of wearable technology today. Battlefront. Noun. 전선. 경쟁 분야. Cloud computing has become the new battlefront for tech companies. Mainstream. Adjective/noun. 주류의. 대중적인. Veganism has slowly moved into the mainstream food industry. Accessible. Adjective. 접근 가능한. 이해하기 쉬운. The new pricing makes the premium product more accessible to students. Retail. Verb/noun. 소매하다. 소매. The new smartphone will retail for $999 starting next month. Aggressive. Adjective. 공격적인. 적극적인. The startup adopted an aggressive marketing strategy to gain market share. Propel. Verb. 나아가게 하다. 추진하다. The successful ad campaign helped propel the brand to international fame. Barrier. Noun. 장벽. 장애물. High tuition fees act as a barrier to higher education for many. Ubiquitize. Verb. 어디에나 있게. 보편화하다. Smartphones have effectively ubiquitized internet access worldwide. 시사용어 해설. Wearable technology. 웨어러블 기기. 스마트워치나 스마트 안경처럼 사용자의 몸에 착용하여 컴퓨팅 기능을 수행하는 전자기기를 말합니다. Barrier to entry. 진입 장벽. 소비자가 새로운 제품을 구매하거나 기업이 새로운 시장에 진출할 때 방해가 되는 요소입니다. 여기서는 비싼 가격이라는 장벽을 낮추어 많은 사람이 쉽게 살 수 있게 했다는 뜻입니다. 2. BBC 2-1. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer resigns. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer has officially announced his resignation following months of mounting political pressure and crushing defeats in recent local elections. By stepping down, he inadvertently clears the path for the United Kingdom to welcome its seventh Prime Minister within a single turbulent decade. This continuous turnover at the highest level of government starkly underscores a profound era of political instability. In the wake of his departure, former Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham, who recently secured an emphatic victory in a parliamentary by-election, has swiftly emerged as the clear frontrunner. Burnham has confidently confirmed that he will stand in any upcoming contest for the leadership of the governing Labour Party. Political analysts are now closely watching to see what bold vision Burnham will propose to unite a highly fragmented nation facing serious economic challenges. Vocabulary: resignation, noun, Sime, Sajik. The Prime Minister's sudden resignation shocked the entire nation. Mounting, adjective, zingaha는, 커져가는. He finally stepped down due to mounting pressure from his own party. Crushing, adjective, 참담한, 뼈 아픈. The ruling party suffered a crushing defeat in the local elections. Inadvertently, adverb, 무심코, 의도치 않게. By ignoring the warning signs, they inadvertently caused a major crisis. Turbulent, adjective, 격동해, 요동치는. The country is going through a highly turbulent political period. Turnover, noun, 교체율, 회전율. The high turnover of staff shows that the company has severe management issues. Underscore, verb, 밑줄을 치다, 강조하다. The recent events underscore the need for immediate economic reform. Emphatic, adjective, 단호한, 확실한, 압도적인. The candidate won an emphatic victory in the key district. By-election, noun, 보궐선거. A by-election was held to fill the unexpectedly vacant seat in parliament. Fragmented, adjective, 분열된, 두각난. The new leader faces the challenge of uniting a highly fragmented society. Labour Party, 노동당, 영국의 양대 정당 중 하나로 주로 노동자와 서민계층의 이익을 대변하는 중도 좌파 성향의 집권 여당입니다. By-election, 보궐선거. 정규 선거 일정이 아님에도 불구하고 국회의원의 사임이나 사망 등으로 인해 자리가 비었을 때 그 빈자리를 채우기 위해 치르는 선거입니다. 2-2. BBC News Division faces major job cuts as corporation seeks savings. The BBC is preparing to announce a devastating round of significant job cuts across its news division as part of a sweeping cost reduction program. This drastic restructuring is expected to eliminate approximately 2,000 roles across the entire broadcasting corporation over the next 3 years. BBC News, one of the organization's largest departments, has been strictly ordered to identify savings equivalent to around 10% of its operating budget. According to newly appointed Director General Matt Britton, the difficult cuts are focused on shifting resources to digital platforms like iPlayer and YouTube to better reach younger audiences. The financial restructuring comes at a pivotal moment as ministers actively reconsider the future viability of the public license fee funding model. Employees and unions warn that such severe budget slashing will inevitably harm the broadcaster's core public service mission. Vocabulary: sweeping, adjective, 전면적인, 광범위한. The new CEO announced a series of sweeping changes to the corporate structure. Drastic, adjective, 과감한, 극단적인. The government took drastic measures to control the sudden hyperinflation. Eliminate, verb, 제거하다, 없애다. The new software updates effectively eliminate the previous security bugs. Equivalent, adjective, 동등한, 맞먹는. A 10% budget cut is equivalent to losing millions of dollars in resources. Operating budget, noun, 운영 예산. The hospital struggled to manage its daily expenses within the tight operating budget. Shift, verb, 이동시키다, 전환하다. The marketing team decided to shift their focus entirely toward digital advertising. Pivotal, adjective, 중추적인, 핵심적인. Education plays a pivotal role in the economic development of a country. Viability, noun, 생존 가능성, 타당성. Investors question the long-term viability of the struggling startup. Slashing, noun, adjective, 맹렬한 삭감. The severe budget slashing led to a significant decrease in the quality of public services. Core, adjective, 핵심적인. The news division has always been the core function of the broadcasting network. 시사용어 해설, license fee, TV 수신료. 공영방송이 상업 광고에 의존하지 않고 독립성을 유지할 수 있도록 국민들로부터 징수하는 준조세 성격의 요금입니다. 최근 넷플릭스 등 스트리밍 서비스가 대세가 되면서 수신료 납부에 대한 반발이 심해지고 있습니다. Restructuring, 구조조정. 기업이나 조직이 경영난을 타개하기 위해 사업 규모를 줄이거나 인력을 해고하여 비용을 줄이는 등 조직을 대대적으로 개편하는 활동입니다.
2-3. BBC to axe Radio 4's The World Tonight after more than 50 years. In a highly controversial move driven by historic budget constraints, the BBC will permanently axe its prestigious Radio 4 program, The World Tonight, after more than 50 years of broadcasting. The beloved show's cancellation represents just the first wave of brutal cuts designed to trim £500 million and eliminate 2,000 jobs over the next 3 years. Longtime presenter Robin Lustig expressed deep sorrow, arguing that high-quality, forward-thinking journalism is needed now more than ever to combat widely disseminated disinformation. In addition to specific program closures, the BBC plans to merge several high-profile production teams and leave key presenter roles vacant to forcefully streamline operations. Management justifies these extremely difficult decisions by stating the corporation must become simpler and faster while relentlessly transitioning to digital-first output. Trade unions, however, have warned that such severe cuts could soon provoke devastating staff strikes. Vocabulary. axe. verb. 인원, 예산 등을 삭감하다, 폐지하다. The network decided to axe the popular show due to rising production costs. Constraint. Noun. 제약, 제한. Tight budget constraints forced the team to use cheaper materials. Prestigious. Adjective. 권위 있는, 명망 높은. She was accepted into a highly prestigious university program operation. Cancellation. Noun. 취소, 폐지. The sudden cancellation of the flight left hundreds stranded at the airport. Disseminate. Verb. 퍼뜨리다, 전파하다. The internet is used to easily disseminate information across the globe. Disinformation. Noun. 허위 정보, 가짜 뉴스. The government launched a campaign to combat Russian disinformation. Vacant. Adjective. 비어있는, 결혼해. The prestigious director position remained vacant for 6 months. Streamline. Verb. 유선형으로 하다, 간소화, 합리화하다. The new software was introduced to streamline the complex accounting process. Relentlessly. Adverb. 끊임없이, 가차없이. The ambitious athlete trained relentlessly for the upcoming Olympics. Provoke. Verb. 촉발하다, 도발하다. The unfair new policy will undoubtedly provoke anger among the workers. 시사서모 해설. axe. 도끼, 예산 삭감. 원래 도끼라는 뜻이지만 뉴스에서는 마치 도끼로 찍어내듯 프로그램, 일자리, 예산을 과감하게 없애버리다 라는 의미의 동사로 아주 자주 쓰입니다. Disinformation, 허위 정보, 가짜 뉴스. 실수로 잘못 전달된 정보, misinformation과 달리 사람들을 속이고 선동하기 위해 악의적으로 조작되어 퍼뜨리는 가짜 뉴스를 명확하게 지칭하는 단어입니다.
3. ABC Australia 3-1. Australian Defence Minister discusses UK leadership change and AUKUS. During an early morning television interview, Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Defence, Richard Marles, addressed the unexpected resignation of UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Marles firmly reassured the Australian public that Canberra will continue to work seamlessly with whoever assumes the highest leadership position in London. He specifically emphasized that the trilateral AUKUS Security Pact remains fully on track and highly operational, despite the sudden political reshuffling. According to Marles, AUKUS continues to happen at a pace, highlighting recent successful maintenance operations on a UK submarine docked in Western Australia as tangible proof of their robust partnership. Addressing broader emerging security concerns, he also touched upon recent warnings from the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance regarding artificial intelligence vulnerabilities. The minister confidently stated that Australia is actively hardening its cyber defenses and stands at the absolute forefront of managing AI-related national security threats. Vocabulary. Reassure. Verb. 안심시키다. The doctor managed to reassure the nervous patient before the surgery. Seamlessly. Adverb. 이음새 없이, 매끄럽게. The old data was seamlessly integrated into the new cloud system. Trilateral. Adjective. 삼자 간에. The US, Japan, and South Korea held a trilateral summit to discuss security. Pact. Noun. 조약. 협정. The competing corporations signed a non-disclosure pact. Operational. Adjective. 가동 중인, 사용할 준비가 된. The new factory is fully operational and producing cars daily. Reshuffling. Noun. 인사이동. 개각. The unexpected cabinet reshuffling surprised many political analysts. Tangible. Adjective. 실체가 있는. 명백한. The team presented tangible evidence to support their bold claims. Robust. Adjective. 탄탄한. 강력한. Our security software provides robust protection against malware. Vulnerability. Noun. 취약점. 약점. Hackers exploited a crucial vulnerability in the outdated network system. Forefront. Noun. 최전선. 중심. The laboratory has been at the forefront of cancer research for decades. 시사용어 해설. AUKUS, AUKUS, 호주, Australia, 영국, UK, 미국, US의 영문 앞글자를 딴 3국 안보동맹입니다. 호주가 미국의 첨단 핵 추진 잠수함 기술을 전수받아 인도 태평양 지역에서 군사적 균형을 맞추려는 것이 핵심 목표입니다. Five Eyes. 미국, 영국, 호주, 캐나다, 뉴질랜드 5개 영어권 국가들이 전 세계의 통신과 인터넷 정보를 수집하고 서로 기밀을 공유하는 가장 강력한 글로벌 첩보동맹 네트워크입니다.
Number 3. Half of Parliament was drinking to cope. Former Prime Minister on the dark side of politics. A candid new interview with a former Australian Prime Minister has unexpectedly exposed the profoundly dark and stressful side of high-level politics. Featured on ABC News In Depth, the former leader shockingly revealed that the extreme pressure of public office drove many politicians to hazardous coping mechanisms. Half of Parliament was drinking to cope, he stated, highlighting a deeply entrenched and toxic alcohol culture within the halls of power. The immense weight of constant public scrutiny, grueling schedules, and relentless partisan attacks severely damaged the mental well-being of numerous lawmakers. His rare and vulnerable confession has sparked a widespread national debate regarding the lack of mental health support for elected officials. Health advocates are now urging the government to systematically address the unhealthy environments that foster such destructive behaviors. Vocabulary. Candid. Adjective. 솔직한. 숨김없는. The celebrity gave a candid interview about her past struggles. Profoundly. Adverb. 깊이. 극심하게. The tragic news profoundly affected the entire local community. Hazardous. Adjective. 위험한. Exposure to these hazardous chemicals can cause severe health problems. Coping mechanism. Noun. 스트레스 대처기제. Regular exercise became her primary coping mechanism for handling grief. Entrenched. Adjective. 깊게 뿌리내린, 확립된. Sexism is deeply entrenched in the culture of that specific industry. Scrutiny. Noun. 정밀조사, 철저한 감시. Every decision made by the mayor is under intense public scrutiny. Grueling. Adjective. 몹시 힘든, 녹초로 만드는. The marathon runners collapsed after completing the grueling race. Relentless. Adjective. 끊임없는, 끈질긴. The relentless rain caused severe flooding across the region. Vulnerable. Adjective. 취약한, 상처받기 쉬운. Sharing her personal diary made her feel completely vulnerable. Destructive. Adjective. 파괴적임. The hurricane was the most destructive storm to hit the coast in decades. 시사용어 해설. Parliament. 의회, 국회. 국가의 법을 제정하고 정부를 견제하는 헌법기관입니다. Coping mechanism. 대처기제, 대처 방법. 사람이 감당하기 힘든 스트레스나 불안을 마주했을 때 스스로를 보호하기 위해 무의식적 혹은 의식적으로 사용하는 심리적, 행동적 방법입니다. 일중독, 폭식, 혹은 이 기사처럼 과도한 음주가 부정적인 대처기제의 예입니다. 3-3. Trump threatens to resume war as Vance holds talks with Iranian officials. In a highly volatile diplomatic maneuver, former U.S. President Donald Trump has explicitly threatened to resume military strikes against Iran if Tehran fails to rein in its proxy forces in Lebanon. This aggressive rhetoric surfaced precisely as Vice President J.D. Vance engaged in delicate peace talks with Iranian officials in Switzerland. The high-stakes negotiations are part of a fragile memorandum of understanding designed to halt hostilities and reopen the vital Strait of Hormuz.
However, Iran justified recently closing the strait again by citing Israel's continued bombardment of Lebanon, demanding a comprehensive regional ceasefire before proceeding. The closure of this crucial maritime choke point threatens to reverse the recent drop in global oil prices and spark a massive economic crisis. Observers note that the glaring disconnect between Washington's diplomatic efforts and its militaristic threats significantly complicates the path to a lasting Middle East peace. Vocabulary: volatile. Adjective: 변덕스러운, 불안정한. The stock market has been highly volatile due to unexpected political events. Maneuver. Noun: 조치, 기동, 작전. The military commander executed a brilliant tactical maneuver to flank the enemy. Explicitly. Adverb: 명시적으로, 분명하게. The contract explicitly states that late payments will incur a harsh penalty. Rein in. Phrasal verb: 억제하다, 통제하다. The manager needs to rein in the team's extravagant spending habits. Proxy. Noun: 대리인, 대리 세력. The two superpowers engaged in a proxy war by funding opposing rebel groups. High stakes. Adjective: 중대한, 판돈이 큰. The leaders are meeting for high-stakes negotiations over nuclear disarmament. Bombardment. Noun: 폭격, 포격. The city suffered a relentless bombardment that destroyed most of its infrastructure. Comprehensive. Adjective: 포괄적인, 종합적인. The school board proposed a comprehensive plan to improve student grades. Choke point. Noun: 교통항로의 요충지. The Suez Canal is a critical maritime choke point for international trade. Disconnect. Noun: 단절, 불일치. There is a glaring disconnect between the company's promises and its actual service. 시사용어 해설. Proxy war, 대리전. 강대국들이 직접 군대를 동원해 싸우지 않고 제3국의 정부나 반군 세력, proxy에게 무기와 자금을 지원하여 자신들을 대신해 싸우게 하는 형태의 전쟁입니다. Strait of Hormuz, 호르무즈 해협. 전 세계 원유의 20% 이상이 지나가는 중동의 좁은 바닷길입니다. 이란이 이 해협을 통제할 수 있는 지리적 위치에 있어 미국과 이란이 충돌할 때마다 유가를 폭등시키는 아킬레스건으로 작용합니다.
The Korea Times 4-1. Foreign sell-off in Samsung Electronics, SK Hynix, drags Kospi down 10%. South Korea's benchmark Kospi index suffered a devastating 10% plunge, heavily dragged down by a massive and sudden foreign sell-off in its top tech giants. Heavyweight semiconductor companies, specifically Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix, faced intense downward pricing pressure as international investors rapidly dumped their shares. This alarming exodus of foreign capital was largely triggered by shifting risk sentiments in global technology markets and mounting concerns over peak AI chip demands. Financial analysts note that when foreign investors pull out so aggressively, the psychological ripple effect quickly paralyzes domestic retail and institutional investment behaviors. The drastic single-day drop starkly highlights the extreme vulnerability of the South Korean stock market to external tech fluctuations and macroeconomic headwinds. Market authorities are now closely monitoring the volatile situation to determine if this signals the start of a prolonged bear market. Vocabulary: benchmark, noun, 기준점, 지표. The S&P 500 is often used as a benchmark for the overall U.S. stock market. Plunge, noun, verb, 폭락, 곤두박질치다. The struggling company's stock experienced a sudden 20% plunge yesterday. Sell-off, noun, 대량 매도, 투매. The bad earnings report triggered a massive market sell-off across all sectors. Heavyweight, noun/adjective, 대형주, 거물. Tech heavyweights like Apple and Microsoft always lead the market trends. Dump, verb, 주식 등을 헐값에 팔아치우다. Panicking retail investors began to dump their tech shares aggressively. Exodus, noun, 대탈출, 집단 이탈. The harsh new tax laws caused a massive exodus of wealthy individuals. Sentiment, noun, 심리, 정서. Consumer sentiment dropped significantly due to rising inflation rates. Ripple effect, noun, 파급효과. The bank's collapse had a devastating ripple effect on the local economy. Vulnerability, noun, 취약성. The sudden crisis exposed the vulnerability of our global supply chains. Bear market, noun, 약세장, 하락장. Investors are preparing their portfolios for a potential long-term bear market. 시사 용어 해설. 코스피, 코스피 지수. 한국 유가증권 시장에 상장된 주식들의 전반적인 가격 변동을 수치화한 지표입니다. 한국 경제의 체력을 보여주는 온도계 역할을 합니다. 10% 폭락은 증시 역사상 매우 희귀하고 심각한 경제 위기 수준의 충격입니다. 베어마켓, 약세장. 주가가 계속해서 떨어지는 하락장을 곰이 앞발을 아래로 내리찍는 모습에 비유한 경제 용어입니다. 반대로 주가가 오르는 상승장은 황소, 가 뿔을 위로 치받는 모습에 빗대어 불마켓이라고 합니다.
4.2. Watchdog launches probe into Mirai Asset Securities over SpaceX IPO allocation debacle. South Korea's top financial watchdog has officially launched an intensive probe into Mirai Asset Securities following a massive controversy surrounding the highly anticipated SpaceX IPO allocation. The regulatory investigation focuses squarely on the debacle of how highly coveted shares of the American aerospace company were allocated to domestic investors. Allegations have quickly surfaced, suggesting that preferential treatment and non-transparent procedures may have heavily influenced the share distribution process. Retail investors, who were largely sidelined during the allocation, have vocally demanded strict accountability and a fair playing field. The regulatory body stated it will meticulously scrutinize the brokerage's internal compliance records to ensure no market rules were violated. This high-profile case serves as a crucial test of operational fairness and systemic transparency within South Korea's financial brokerage industry. Vocabulary. Watchdog. Noun. 감시기관, 감독기구. The consumer watchdog fined the corporation for misleading advertisements. Probe. Noun, verb. 철저한 조사, 수사하다. The government launched a criminal probe into the massive bribery scandal. Debacle. Noun. 대실패, 큰 낭패. The poorly planned event turned into a complete logistical debacle. Allocate. Verb. 할당하다, 배정하다. The manager needs to efficiently allocate resources to finish the project. Coveted. Adjective. 탐내는, 갈망하는. Winning the Nobel Prize is the most coveted honor in the scientific world. Preferential. Adjective. 특혜를 주는, 우선권이 있는. The wealthy clients received preferential treatment at the exclusive bank. Sideline. Verb. 열외로 취급하다, 소외시키다. The star player was sidelined for the rest of the season due to injury. Accountability. Noun. 책임, 의무. The public demanded total accountability from the corrupt government officials. Scrutinize. Verb. 면밀히 조사하다. The auditors will scrutinize the financial records to find the missing funds. Compliance. Noun. 법, 규정 등의 준수. The company hired an expert to ensure strict compliance with environmental laws. 시사용어 해설. Watchdog. 감시견, 감독당국. 직역하면 집을 지키는 개라는 뜻으로 경제뉴스에서는 불법 거래나 독과점을 감시하는 금융감독원이나 공정거래위원회 같은 정부 규제기관을 의미합니다. IPO, 이니셜 퍼블릭 어퍼링, 기업 공개. 비상장 기업이 외부 투자자들에게 주식을 팔기 위해 처음으로 증권시장에 상장하는 것을 말합니다. 일론 머스크의 스페이스X처럼 전 세계가 주목하는 기업이 IPO를 하면 주식을 배정받기 위한 경쟁이 엄청나게 치열해집니다.
4-3. Government eases tax fears for returning diaspora via anonymous counseling. The South Korean government is proactively stepping in to alleviate deep-seated tax anxieties among the returning Korean diaspora. Authorities have officially introduced an innovative anonymous counseling service tailored specifically for overseas Koreans who are planning to repatriate.
Many individuals living abroad hesitate to return home due to intense fears of facing unexpected tax bombs on their globally accumulated wealth and assets. By utilizing this newly established confidential system, individuals can freely seek expert advice regarding complex cross-border taxation without risking unwanted exposure to tax audits. The government hopes this strategic initiative will foster a much more welcoming legal environment. Ultimately, this policy is designed to actively encourage the influx of highly skilled global talent and valuable foreign capital back into the domestic economy. Vocabulary. Alleviate. Verb. 완화하다. 경감하다. The doctor prescribed painkillers to alleviate the patient's severe headache. Deep-seated. Adjective. 뿌리 깊은. 고질적인. The society suffers from deep-seated racial prejudices. Diaspora. Noun.
국가를 떠나 흩어진 이주민, 동포. The Irish diaspora has spread its unique culture all over the world. Anonymous. Adjective. 익명의. The generous donation was made by an anonymous benefactor. Repatriate. Verb. 본국으로 송환하다, 귀환하다. After the war ended, the government worked to repatriate the refugees. Hesitate. Verb. 주저하다, 망설이다. She didn't hesitate to jump into the river to save the drowning child. Confidential. Adjective. 기밀해, 비밀해. Your medical records are strictly confidential and cannot be shared. Cross-border. Adjective. 국경을 넘는, 국제적인. The police formed a task force to tackle cross-border smuggling operations. Influx. Noun. 유입, 쇄도. The discovery of gold led to a massive influx of miners into the town. Tailor. Verb. 맞추다, 조정하다. The training program was tailored specifically for newly hired employees. 시사용어 해설. 디아스포라, 디아스포라. 원래는 팔레스타인을 떠나 세계 각지에 흩어져 살게 된 유대인들을 일컫는 말이었으나 현재는 본토를 떠나 다른 나라에서 자신들의 정체성을 유지하며 살아가는 해외 동포나 이주민 전체를 뜻하는 단어로 확장되어 쓰입니다. Cross-border taxation, 국가 간 과세. 미국에서 돈을 벌어 세금을 냈는데 한국에 돌아오면 한국 국세청에 또 세금을 내야 하는지, 이중과세 등 두 나라 이상의 세법이 얽혀 있는 복잡한 세금 문제를 뜻합니다. 5. The Korea Herald. 5-1. S. Korea remains at emerging market status under MSCI. South Korea's persistent push to be formally reclassified as a developed economy by Morgan Stanley Capital International, MSCI, has hit another roadblock as the index provider decided to keep the nation in its emerging market category. While MSCI acknowledged Seoul's recent initiatives to reform foreign exchange rules and capital market operations, it stated that the underlying issues have not been fully resolved. The primary obstacle remaining is the limited convertibility of the Korean won in the offshore currency market, which heavily constrains operational flexibility for global index replicators. Additionally, MSCI pointed out that onshore liquidity during extended trading hours remains insufficient compared to standards observed in fully developed markets. Despite the setback, South Korea's finance ministry remains resolute, stating, "If we continue to implement reforms, we believe we can be included among advanced economies." Vocabulary. Persistent. Adjective. 끈질긴, 끊임없는. Her persistent efforts finally led to a breakthrough in the research. Reclassify. Verb. 재분류하다. The committee decided to reclassify the document as top secret. Roadblock. Noun. 장애물, 걸림돌. The lack of funding became a major roadblock for the ambitious project. Acknowledge. Verb. 인정하다, 인지하다. He reluctantly acknowledged that he had made a critical mistake. Underlying. Adjective. 근본적인, 밑에 숨겨진. Stress is often the underlying cause of many physical illnesses. Convertibility. Noun. 통화의 태환성, 교환 가능성. The currency's easy convertibility makes it highly attractive to investors. Constrain. Verb. 제약하다, 억제하다. The strict budget will severely constrain our ability to hire new staff. Onshore. Adjective. 국내에,
육상해. The government encourages onshore manufacturing to create local jobs. Setback. Noun. 좌절, 차질. The team experienced a major setback when their star player was injured. Resolute. Adjective. 단호한, 확고한. Despite the strong criticism, the mayor remained resolute in his decision. 시사용어 해설. MSCI, 모건 스탠리 캐피털 인터내셔널 지수. 미국 투자은행 모건 스탠리가 발표하는 글로벌 주가 지수입니다. 전 세계 펀드 매니저들이 어느 나라에 투자할지 결정하는 가장 중요한 가이드라인입니다. 한국이 선진국, developed 지수로 올라가면 자동으로 수조 원의 외국 자금이 한국 증시로 유입되는 효과가 있습니다. Offshore currency market, 여괴 외환 시장. 여괴는 자기 나라 영토 밖을 뜻합니다. 외국인들이 한국에 들어오지 않고도 런던이나 뉴욕에서 24시간 자유롭게 한국 돈, 원화를 달러로 사고 팔 수 있는 시장의 개방 여부가 선진국 지수 편입의 핵심 조건입니다.
5-2. Lee to unveil regional investment strategy with business leaders next week. President Lee Jae-myung is scheduled to meet with the powerful heads of South Korea's largest conglomerates next week to unveil an aggressive regional investment strategy. The highly anticipated administration's project is centered primarily on establishing advanced industries, such as artificial intelligence, semiconductors, and future mobility, outside the crowded Seoul metropolitan area. This meeting serves as the centerpiece of a broader national transformation agenda aimed at achieving balanced national development and mitigating severe population decline in rural regions. The government is heavily expected to offer a generous package of incentives, including tax benefits, regulatory easing, and robust infrastructure support for electricity and water. By fostering these new tech ecosystems in regional hubs, officials desperately hope to create high-quality jobs that will effectively slow the rapid outflow of young talent to the capital. Vocabulary. Conglomerate. Noun. 대기업, 재벌. The global conglomerate owns businesses in electronics, finance, and retail. Unveil. Verb. 발표하다, 베일을 벗기다. Apple will unveil its latest smartphone model at tomorrow's press event. Metropolitan. Adjective. 대도시에, 수도권에. The subway system connects the entire metropolitan area efficiently. Centerpiece. Noun. 중심 항목, 가장 중요한 쟁점. The new environmental policy was the centerpiece of his election campaign. Mitigate. Verb. 완화하다, 경감시키다. The government planted trees to mitigate the effects of severe soil erosion. Generous. Adjective. 후한, 관대한. The CEO offered a generous severance package to the retiring employees. Incentive. Noun. 장려금, 혜택, 동기. The tax rebate provides a strong incentive for people to buy electric cars. Foster. Verb. 육성하다, 촉진하다. The teacher used group projects to foster teamwork among the students. Ecosystem. Noun. 생태계. Startups thrive in Silicon Valley because of its unique tech ecosystem. Outflow. Noun. 유출, 새어나감. The economic crisis triggered a massive outflow of foreign capital. 시사용어 해설. Conglomerate, 대기업, 재벌그룹. 문어발식으로 다양한 산업 분야, 반도체, 자동차, 화학, 유통 등 여러 계열사를 거느리고 있는 거대한 기업 집단을 의미합니다. 한국의 삼성, 현대, SK, LG 등이 대표적입니다. National Transformation, 국가 대기조. 경제 구조나 사회 시스템의 낡은 틀을 부수고 완전히 새로운 형태로 국가를 탈바꿈시키려는 거대한 정치, 경제적 프로젝트를 부르는 수사적 표현입니다. 5-3. Assembly meeting highlights lack of NEC oversight. A special parliamentary committee meeting threw a harsh spotlight on the glaring lack of external oversight governing the National Election Commission, NEC. Lawmakers heavily scrutinized the severe mismanagement during the early June local elections, which featured nationwide ballot shortages and unacceptable voter delays. Bipartisan anger was also directed at questionable practices, including the former NEC chair's lavish overseas trips and the awarding of exclusive printing contracts without transparent public procurement.
Historically, the NEC was granted absolute immunity from external audits, such as those by the Board of Audit and Inspection, to shield it from political interference. However, the recent logistical fiascos have proven that this lack of supervision has bred severe administrative complacency. Consequently, there is now growing political momentum to pursue a constitutional amendment to radically restructure the severely paralyzed election body. Vocabulary. Oversight. Noun. 감독, 관리. The committee is responsible for the financial oversight of the project. Scrutinize. Verb. 세밀히 조사하다. The journalist will scrutinize the politician's tax returns for any irregularities. Mismanagement. Noun. 관리부실, 경영 악화. The company went bankrupt due to years of severe financial mismanagement. Bipartisan. Adjective. 양당의, 초당적인. The new infrastructure bill was passed with rare bipartisan support. Lavish. Adjective. 고아로운, 사치스러운. The CEO was criticized for throwing a lavish party using company funds. Procurement. Noun. 조달, 구매. The government agency issued new rules for military weapons procurement. Immunity. Noun. 연재, 연책특권. The foreign diplomat claimed diplomatic immunity to avoid being arrested. Fiasco. Noun. 대실패, 낭패. The poorly organized music festival turned into a complete logistical fiasco. Complacency. Noun. 안일함, 자기만족. We must not let complacency set in just because we won the first game. Amendment. Noun. 법안, 헌법 등의 개정, 수정. Congress is debating a new constitutional amendment to protect voting rights. 새 용어 해설. NEC, 중앙선거관리위원회. 국가의 모든 선거와 국민투표를 공정하게 관리하는 독립된 헌법기관입니다. Oversight, 감독, 감시. 권력을 가진 기관이 자기 마음대로 행동하지 못하도록 국회나 상급기관이 위에서 내려다보며 감시하고 견제하는 행위를 뜻합니다. 선관위는 독립성 때문에 거꾸로 아무도 감시할 수 없었다는 lack of oversight, 비판을 받는 상황입니다.
6. CGTN 6-1. From Imagination to Productivity, AI's Path to Scale. At the 17th annual meeting of the New Champions, better known as Summer Davos in Dalan, industry leaders highlighted artificial intelligence's critical transition from sheer imagination to scalable productivity. While capital historically poured into frontier AI fields at a staggering pace, savvy investors are no longer willing to pay for mere hype. Today, AI technologies must unequivocally prove their return on investment, ROI, by demonstrating clear cost reductions and scenario-specific real-world deployment. For example, AI-assisted drug discovery can now efficiently slash research timelines by 80% and R&D costs by roughly 70%. Furthermore, the integration of AI into physical hardware, such as humanoid robots, is moving rapidly towards mass production efficiency, heavily driven by China's robust industrial chain. Ultimately, achieving true scalability requires these innovations to seamlessly embed into existing management systems and labor structures. Vocabulary. Transition. Noun. Jonwan. Iheng. The transition from fossil fuels to clean energy is inevitable. Sheer. Adjective. 순전한. 섞이지 않은. Winning the championship was a moment of sheer happiness for the team. Scalable. Adjective. 확장 가능한. 규모를 키울 수 있는. Software companies love highly scalable business models that grow quickly. Staggering. Adjective. 충격적인. 믿기 어려운. The tech startup raised a staggering amount of money in one day. Savvy. Adjective. 지식이 있는. 요령 있는. Savvy consumers always compare prices online before making a purchase. Hype. Noun. 과대 광고. 뜬 소문. Don't believe the hype. The movie wasn't actually that good. Unequivocally. Adverb. 명백히. 단호하게. The CEO unequivocally denied all the rumors regarding the company's bankruptcy.
Slash, verb, 대폭 줄이다, 삭감하다. The supermarket decided to slash prices by 50% for the weekend sale. Embed, verb, 파가 넣다, 내장하다. The journalist was embedded with the frontline troops to report the war. Tangible, adjective, 실체가 있는, 유형의. We need to see tangible results before we continue funding the research. 시사 용어 해설, Summer Davos, 하계 다보스 포럼. 글로벌 엘리트들이 모이는 겨울의 스위스 다보스 포럼과 달리 매년 여름 중국에서 열리는 경제 포럼입니다. 주로 신흥 경제국과 4차 산업혁명을 주도하는 기술 혁신 기업들이 모여 미래 비즈니스 트렌드를 논의합니다. ROI, Return on Investment, 투자 수익률. 내가 투자한 돈, 비용 대비 얼마만큼의 이익, 효과를 얻었는지를 측정하는 지표입니다. AI가 그저 신기한 기술에서 벗어나 회사에 진짜 돈을 벌어다주는 기술로 진화했다는 뜻입니다.
Number 6. 2. Chinese government releases white paper on global governance. China's State Council Information Office officially released a comprehensive white paper outlining its strategic vision for a more just and equitable global governance. The document strongly criticizes the existing Western-centric multilateral system, arguing that it is proving increasingly ineffective against compounding global crises and the erosion of international law. In response, Beijing is heavily championing its Global Governance Initiative, GGI, which it claims has already swiftly gained support from nearly 160 countries. Rather than overturning the current system, the white paper insists that China aims to pragmatically reform it from within to be more inclusive and aligned with today's realities. The policy document explicitly highlights China's self-proclaimed role as a staunch defender of the global South, pushing back against the flawed logic of might makes right. Furthermore, the government has formally incorporated these global initiatives into its 15th five-year plan, demonstrating an enduring resolve to reshape global norms. Vocabulary: comprehensive, adjective, 종합적인, 포괄적인. The school offers a comprehensive program for gifted children. Multilateral, adjective, 다자간에. The treaty was a multilateral agreement involving over 50 nations. Ineffective, adjective, 효과 없는, 무능한. The medicine proved to be completely ineffective against the new virus. Compounding, adjective, 복합적인, 악화되는. The country is facing compounding crises of inflation and severe drought. Champion, verb/noun, 옹호하다, 투사. She has always championed the rights of marginalized communities. Overturn, verb, 뒤집다, 전복시키다. The Supreme Court voted to overturn the lower court's controversial ruling. Pragmatically, adverb, 실용적으로. We must approach this complex problem pragmatically, not just ideally. Staunch, adjective, 확고한, 충실한. He remained a staunch supporter of the political party despite the scandal. Flawed, adjective, 결함이 있는, 잘못된. The scientist's theory was rejected because it was based on flawed data. Enduring, adjective, 지속되는, 오래가는. Their friendship left an enduring legacy on the small town. 시사 용어 해설, white paper, 백서. 정부가 특정 정치, 외교, 경제 문제에 대해 국가의 공식적인 입장과 정책 방향을 정리하여 국민이나 국제사회에 발표하는 공식 보고서입니다. 영국 정부가 하얀색 표지를 씌워 의회에 제출한 데서 유래했습니다. Global South, 글로벌 사우스. 지리적으로 북반구 저위도나 남반구에 위치한 아시아, 아프리카, 중남미의 신흥국과 개발도상국들을 통틀어 일컫는 말입니다. 중국은 스스로를 이들의 대변인으로 포장하며 서방 선진국, 글로벌 노스에 맞서려 하고 있습니다. 6.3. New challenges to global security in the AI era. The rapid advancement of artificial intelligence is simultaneously delivering remarkable momentum for social development while creating urgent new threats to global security. During the 2026 Forum on Global Human Rights Governance, prominent Chinese scholars warned that the unchecked hype over AI is widening the technological gap between developed and developing nations. Most critically, experts emphasized the absolute necessity of adopting a collaborative global governance paradigm to strictly prevent AI from being weaponized. The misuse of autonomous technologies as tools of war could trigger unprecedented global disasters and severely undermine international peace and stability. Experts stressed that human beings must remain the end goal, not the means, of technological progress.
Consequently, ensuring that AI development serves the collective well-being of humanity rather than empowering a select few is the biggest human rights challenge facing the world today. Vocabulary. Momentum. Noun. 탄력, 가속도, 원동력. The political campaign gained significant momentum after the debate. Prominent. Adjective. 조명한, 두드러진. A group of prominent scientists signed a letter warning about climate change. Unchecked. Adjective. 억제되지 않은, 통제받지 않는. The disease spread rapidly due to unchecked population growth. Gap. Noun. 격차, 틈. The government is trying to close the wealth gap between the rich and poor. Paradigm. Noun. 패러다임, 이론적 틀. The invention of the internet created a new paradigm for global communication. Weaponize. Verb. 무기화하다. Cyber hackers often try to weaponize personal data for financial gain. Autonomous. Adjective. 자율적인, 자치해. Autonomous vehicles are expected to drastically reduce traffic accidents. Unprecedented. Adjective. 전례 없는. The hurricane caused an unprecedented level of destruction along the coast. Empower. Verb. 권한을 주다, 자율권을 주다. The program is designed to empower young women to pursue careers in STEM. Collective. Adjective. 집단적인, 공동의. Protecting the environment requires a collective effort from all nations. 시사용어 해설. Governance. Governance. 정부 혼자서 국가를 이끄는 것이 아니라 시민사회, 기업, 국제기구 등 다양한 주체들이 협력하여 사회 문제를 해결하고 규칙을 만들어가는 공동관리 체계를 뜻합니다. Weaponize. 무기화하다. 원래는 무기가 아닌 것, 예 인공지능, 정보, 경제 제재, 식량 등을 적을 공격하거나 압박하기 위한 치명적인 수단, 무기로 탈바꿈시키는 행위를 말합니다.
7. NHK World Japan. 7.1. Japan Lower House Election 2026. LDP projected to secure majority on its own. In the highly anticipated 2026 Japan Lower House election, the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, firmly led by Prime Minister Takaichi Sanai, is projected to comfortably secure a majority entirely on its own. NHK's decision desk further projected that the ruling coalition will effortlessly capture a powerful 2/3 majority in the crucial lower chamber. This overwhelming legislative victory is extremely significant because it enables the coalition to unilaterally pass bills and even override potential rejections by the upper house. Political analysts widely note that Japanese voters have effectively handed their very first female prime minister the greatest possible political mandate. Retaining such dominant parliamentary control ensures that the LDP can aggressively push forward its conservative domestic and assertive foreign policy agendas without meaningful opposition. Ultimately, the election results serve as a robust public endorsement of Takaichi's strong-handed leadership. Vocabulary. Anticipated. Adjective. 고대하던, 예상된. The highly anticipated new smartphone will be released next week. Ruling coalition. Noun. 집권 연립 여당. The ruling coalition easily won enough seats to form a stable government. Effortlessly. Adverb. 쉽게, 노력하지 않고. The skilled gymnast performed the difficult backflip effortlessly. Overwhelming. Adjective. 압도적인. He was elected president with an overwhelming majority of the popular vote. Unilaterally. Adverb. 일방적으로. The dictator unilaterally decided to cancel the peace treaty. Override. Verb. 무효화하다, 기각하다. The Congress voted to override the president's veto of the bill. Mandate. Noun. 권한. 선거를 통한 지지. The landslide victory gave the mayor a clear mandate to reform the city. Assertive. Adjective. 적극적인, 확신에 찬. You need to be more assertive during negotiations to get what you want. Opposition. Noun. 반대, 야당. The controversial new tax law faced fierce opposition from the public. Endorsement. Noun. 지지, 보증. The famous athlete's endorsement significantly boosted sales of the shoes. 시사용어 해설. Lower house, 하원, 일본의 중의원. 일본의 의회는 상원격인 참의원과 하원격인 중의원으로 나뉩니다. 예산안 처리나 총리 지명 등 권력의 핵심은 하원인 중의원에 쏠려 있어 총선거라고 하면 보통 중의원 선거를 말합니다. 2/3 majority, 3분의 2 다수 의석. 의석수의 3분의 2를 차지하면 다른 당의 반대가 있어도 헌법 개정 발의를 포함해 거의 모든 법안을 마음대로 통과시킬 수 있는 절대 반지를 쥐게 됩니다. 이를 영어로 슈퍼 메조리티라고도 부릅니다.
7-2. Analysis. Disinformation evolved in Japan election. During Japan's highly charged latest general election, increasingly sophisticated fake videos and images generated by artificial intelligence spread virally across online platforms. NHK World analysts highlighted that malicious actors are deliberately weaponizing deepfake technology to sow political confusion and maliciously smear targeted candidates. Unlike crude propaganda of the past, these AI-generated materials are incredibly realistic, making it exceedingly difficult for average voters to distinguish fact from digital fiction. Experts thoroughly explained what deeply motivates these actors to create such harmful disinformation, pointing to both foreign interference and domestic political sabotage. Consequently, media literacy programs and advanced detection algorithms are being urgently recommended as necessary countermeasures. Ultimately, safeguarding the absolute integrity of the democratic voting process requires the public to actively prevent the spread of these highly evolved digital falsehoods. Vocabulary. Highly charged. Adjective. 격앙된, 긴장감이 감도는. The debate over gun control was a highly charged emotional issue. Sophisticated. Adjective. 정교한, 세련된. Hackers are using increasingly sophisticated software to bypass security. Virally. Adverb. 바이러스처럼, 빠르게, 널리. The funny cat video spread virally across all social media platforms. Malicious. Adjective. 악의적인, 적이 있는. The software is designed to protect your computer from malicious attacks. Sow. Verb. 씨를 뿌리다, 조장하다. The enemy spies tried to sow division and panic among the citizens. Smear. Verb. 비방하다, 중상모략하다. The politician tried to smear his opponent's reputation with false rumors. Distinguish. Verb. 구별하다, 분간하다. It is important to distinguish between reliable news and fake rumors. Sabotage. Noun. 파괴 공작, 방해 행위. The factory fire was an act of deliberate sabotage by angry workers. Countermeasure. Noun. 대응책, 대책. The government is developing new countermeasures to stop cyberterrorism. Integrity. Noun. 무결성, 진실성, 온전함. The referee must ensure the absolute integrity of the sporting match. 시사용어 해설. Deepfake. 딥러닝, 딥러닝과 가짜, fake의 합성어로 인공지능 기술을 이용해 특정 인물의 얼굴이나 목소리를 다른 영상에 완벽하게 합성해내는 기술입니다. 선거판에서 상대방이 하지 않은 말을 한 것처럼 꾸미는 데 악용되어 큰 사회적 문제가 되고 있습니다. 미디어 리터러시. 다양한 미디어 매체에서 나오는 수많은 정보들 중에서 무엇이 진짜 뉴스이고 무엇이 조작된 가짜 뉴스인지를 비판적으로 판단하고 걸러낼 수 있는 능력, 매체 이해력을 뜻합니다. 8. AlJazeera.com. 8.1. EU hosts Taliban officials for the first time in talks on deportations. In a highly controversial diplomatic move, the European Union hosted a Taliban delegation in Brussels for the very first time to negotiate migration issues. The primary agenda of this unprecedented meeting focused on establishing mechanisms for the dignified returns of rejected Afghan asylum seekers and convicted criminals currently residing in Europe.
EU officials pragmatically justified the engagement by arguing that limited technical talks with Afghanistan's de facto authorities are strictly necessary to facilitate these deportations. However, this pragmatic approach has sparked fierce outrage and condemnation from global rights activists. Nobel Peace Prize laureate Malala Yousafzai stated she was deeply shaken, strongly insisting that Europe must absolutely not legitimize a brutal regime responsible for one of the worst human rights crises in the world. Critics heavily stress that cooperating with the Taliban on deportations hypocritically undermines the EU's foundational commitment to international human rights. Vocabulary. Controversial. Adjective. 논란이 많은.
Highly controversial decision that changed the game. Delegation. Noun. 대표단. The diplomatic delegation arrived in the capital for peace talks. Dignified. Adjective. 위험 있는, 존엄한. Every human being deserves to be treated in a dignified manner. Asylum seeker. Noun. 망명 신청자. Thousands of asylum seekers fled across the border to escape the war. Pragmatically. Adverb. 실용적으로. We need to solve this economic crisis pragmatically, not just theoretically. De facto. Adjective. 법적으로는 아니지만 사실상의. English is the de facto international language of global business. Facilitate. Verb. 촉진하다, 용이하게 하다. The new bridge will greatly facilitate trade between the two cities. Fierce. Adjective. 맹렬한, 치열한. The new labor policy faced fierce opposition from the trade unions. Legitimize. Verb. 정당화하다, 합법으로 인정하다. Signing a trade deal with the dictator would only legitimize his regime. Hypocritically. Adverb. 위선적으로. The politician spoke hypocritically about honesty while accepting bribes. 시사용어 해설. Asylum seeker. 망명 신청자. 본국에서 정치적, 종교적 이유 등으로 탄압을 받아 다른 나라의 보호를 요청한 사람입니다. 법적 심사를 거쳐 통과되면 난민, refugee가 되지만 거절당하면 불법 체류자가 되어 본국으로 추방, deportation, 대상이 됩니다. De facto, 디펙토, 사실상의. 라틴어에서 유래한 법률 용어로 국제법상 공식적인 합법 정부로 인정하지는 않지만 현실적으로 그 나라를 지배하고 통치하고 있는 새 집단을 지칭할 때 씁니다. EU는 탈레반을 정식 정부로 인정하지 않으려 이 단어를 썼습니다. 8-2. Stop Greater Israel to make peace. In a sharp opinion piece, experts argue that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's dangerous attachment to the expansionist vision of a greater Israel is directly fueling endless conflicts in the Middle East. This aggressive ideology, which aims to permanently annex Palestinian territories and neighboring Arab lands, has repeatedly dragged the United States into fatuous regional wars. The authors highlight that this expansionist fantasy is not saving Israel, but rather slowly killing its international standing, as evidenced by overwhelmingly unfavorable global public opinion. Furthermore, the recent U.S.-Iran ceasefire agreement clearly demonstrates that diplomatic mediation, rather than endless militarism, is the only viable path forward. The piece sternly concludes that Washington must definitively break with the Greater Israel delusion. To achieve lasting peace, the U.S. must force the creation of an independent state of Palestine as the 194th UN member based on the pre-1967 borders. Vocabulary. Expansionist. Adjective/noun. 팽창주의의 영토 확장주의자. The dictator's expansionist policies led to war with neighboring countries. Fuel. Verb. 부채질하다, 자극하다. His careless comments only served to fuel the public's anger. Annex. Verb. 합병하다, 영토를 무력으로 병합하다. The powerful empire aggressively tried to annex the small border towns. Fatuous. Adjective. 어리석은, 빠진. Engaging in a fatuous argument over trivial details is a waste of time. Standing. Noun. 위상, 지위. The scandal severely damaged the politician's standing within the party. Overwhelmingly. Adverb. 압도적으로. The proposal to build a new park was overwhelmingly supported by residents. Mediation. Noun. 중재, 조정. The complex labor dispute was finally resolved through international mediation. Viable. Adjective. 실행 가능한. 성공할 수 있는. Solar power is now a commercially viable alternative to fossil fuels. Sternly. Adverb. 엄격하게. 단호하게. The teacher sternly warned the students about cheating on the exam. Delusion. Noun. 망상. 착각. The paranoid king lived under the delusion that everyone was trying to kill him. Delusion. Noun. 망상. 착각. The paranoid king lived under the delusion that everyone was trying to kill him. 시사용어 해설. Greater Israel. 대이스라엘주의. 성경에 기록된 고대 유대 왕국의 영토를 모두 회복하겠다는 이스라엘 우파 민족주의자들의 극단적 사상입니다. 이는 현재 팔레스타인 사람들이 사는 요르단강 서안지구와 가자지구를 모두 유대인의 땅으로 복속시키겠다는 뜻이어서 끝없는 피해 갈등을 낳고 있습니다. 1967 Borders, 1967년 국경선. 1967년 제3차 중동전쟁, 6.1 전쟁이 일어나기 직전의 국경을 말합니다. 국제사회는 이 선을 기준으로 이스라엘과 팔레스타인이 서로의 영토를 인정하고 두 개의 독립된 국가로 평화롭게 공존하는 이른바 두 국가 해법, Two State Solution을 지지하고 있습니다. 9. CBC Canada 9-1. Montreal shooting leaves police officer, civilian, and suspect dead. A deeply shaken community in Montreal is heavily mourning the tragic loss of 2 lives following a devastating daylight shooting in the Côte des Neiges neighborhood. Police Constable Mohamed Lamine Ben Redouane and civilian Michelle Mizrahi were fatally wounded when an armed suspect suddenly opened fire in the streets. Heavily armed responding officers quickly engaged the shooter in a fierce firefight, which ultimately resulted in the suspect's death at the scene. Specialized forensic teams and top law enforcement officials are currently conducting a thorough, meticulous investigation, heavily combing through the cordoned-off crime scene for ballistic evidence. In particular, authorities are deeply analyzing a detailed manifesto left behind by the gunman in hopes of uncovering the ideological motive for this senseless violence. The horrific incident has left the entire Canadian city in profound shock, renewing fierce debates over urban gun violence. Vocabulary. Shaken. Adjective. 충격을 받은, 동요하는. The completely shaken survivors hugged each other after the earthquake. Daylight. Noun. 주간, 대낮. The audacious bank robbery occurred in broad daylight. Fatally. Adverb. 치명적으로. The motorcyclist was fatally injured when he collided with a truck. Engage. Verb. 교전하다, 맞붙다. The soldiers were strictly ordered not to engage the enemy unless fired upon. Firefight. Noun. 총격전. 2 innocent bystanders were caught in the middle of a deadly firefight. Forensic. Adjective. 법의학적인, 과학수사의. Forensic experts discovered a hidden DNA sample on the murder weapon. Meticulous. Adjective. 꼼꼼한, 세심한. The artist paid meticulous attention to every tiny detail of the painting. Comb through. Phrasal verb. 샅샅이 뒤지다. Investigators had to comb through thousands of emails to find the smoking gun. Manifesto. Noun. 성명서, 범행선언문. The extremist posted a radical political manifesto online before the attack. Senseless. Adjective. 무의미한, 몰상식한. The community organized a march to protest against the senseless gang violence. Manifesto. 성명서, 매니페스토. 본래 정당이 유권자에게 약속하는 정책 공약집을 뜻하는 좋은 단어이지만 범죄나 테러 관련 뉴스에서는 범인이 자신의 삐뚤어진 신념이나 끔찍한 범행 동기를 정당화하기 위해 인터넷 등에 남긴 범행 선언문을 뜻합니다. Forensic, 과학수사. 범죄 현장에서 발견된 혈흔, 지문, 판도, DNA 등을 과학적인 방법으로 분석하여 법정에서 증거로 사용할 수 있게 만드는 수사기법입니다.
9-2. CBC unveils new slate showcasing Canadian storytelling and stars. Canada's national public broadcaster, CBC, has enthusiastically unveiled its 2026-27 programming slate, featuring over 50 brand new original series completely dedicated to authentic Canadian storytelling. The highly anticipated lineup spans diverse genres, ranging from hospital dramas and Wild West adventures to international espionage. A major highlight of the upcoming season is The Ambassador, a sharp political comedy starring renowned comedian Samantha Bee as an unorthodox diplomat uncovering global business opportunities. Additionally, the network greenlit a compelling new sports drama titled Junior, which draws profound inspiration from the real-life experiences of former NHL superstar PK Subban. By aggressively expanding its streaming platform, CBC Gem, the broadcaster aims to amplify underrepresented local voices, including powerful Indigenous documentaries and vibrant Pride Month collections. This bold cultural investment underscores CBC's unwavering commitment to combating American media dominance with high-quality, homegrown entertainment. Vocabulary. Unveil. Verb. 새로운 계획, 상품 등을 발표하다. The tech giant will unveil its revolutionary new smart glasses next month. Slate. Noun. 방송 행사의 라인업, 예정표. The cinema released its exciting slate of summer blockbuster movies. Authentic. Adjective. 진정한, 진짜의. The restaurant is famous for serving highly authentic Mexican cuisine. Unorthodox. Adjective. 정통이 아닌 파격적인. The teacher used an unorthodox but effective way to engage the students. Greenlight. Verb. 프로젝트 등의 승인을 내리다. The studio finally decided to greenlight the highly anticipated superhero sequel. Compelling. Adjective. 매력적인, 설득력 있는. The documentary tells a deeply compelling story about survival and hope. Amplify. Verb. 증폭시키다, 더 키우다. Social media algorithms often amplify sensational and fake news stories. Underrepresented. Adjective. 소외된, 대표성이 부족한. The scholarship aims to help students from underrepresented minority groups. Unwavering. Adjective. 확고한, 흔들림 없는. Despite the fierce criticism, the president maintained his unwavering support for the bill. Homegrown. Adjective. 자국산의, 지역에서 자란. Canadians take great pride in supporting their local homegrown talents. Public broadcaster, 공영방송. 상업적인 이익, 광고 수익 등보다는 국민 전체의 이익과 공공성을 목적으로 국가나 공공단체가 운영하는 방송국입니다. 한국의 KBS나 영국의 BBC, 캐나다의 CBC가 대표적입니다. 이들은 시청률이 낮더라도 원주민 문화나 소수자 인권 같은 의미 있는 다큐멘터리를 의무적으로 제작해야 합니다. 그린라이트. 그린라이트 제작 승인. 교통신호의 초록불에서 유래한 말로 영화나 방송업계에서 기획 단계를 통과하여 본격적으로 돈을 들여 제작을 시작하라고 최종 승인, 허가를 내리는 것을 뜻하는 강력한 동사입니다. 10. DD India. 10.1. Evacuation plan through Hormuz for stranded ships in Gulf underway. Following a newly signed ceasefire agreement between the United States and Iran, the United Nations Shipping Agency has urgently launched a massive evacuation plan. The critical operation aims to safely escort hundreds of stranded merchant ships, carrying approximately 11,000 exhausted seafarers, out of the Gulf via the highly strategic Strait of Hormuz. According to the 14-point Memorandum of Understanding, Iran has officially committed to ensuring the safe, toll-free passage of commercial vessels for a 60-day window. However, this fragile peace agreement remains deeply shrouded in uncertainty and tension. Several Iranian state media outlets contradict the formal document by insisting that Tehran will indeed collect hefty transit fees for its services. Consequently, global energy markets and supply chains remain strictly on edge, fearful that any diplomatic misstep could instantly reignite the devastating conflict in the world's most critical oil choke point. Vocabulary. Evacuation. Noun. Defi. Chursu. The strict evacuation order was issued hours before the deadly hurricane hit. Stranded. Adjective. 오로 가도 못하게 된, 발이 묶인. Hundreds of passengers were left stranded at the airport due to the snowstorm. Seafarer. Noun. 소문, 뱃사람. Many seafarers spend months away from their families while working on cargo ships. Toll-free. Adjective. 통행료가 없는.
The local government promised toll-free passage on the new highway during the holiday. Fragile. Adjective. 깨지기 쉬운, 취약한. The UN is trying its best to maintain the fragile peace agreement in the region. Shroud. Verb. 뒤덮다, 가리다. The exact details of the secret negotiations remain heavily shrouded in mystery. Contradict. Verb. 모순되다, 반박하다. The witness's testimony completely contradicted the suspect's carefully planned alibi. Hefty. Adjective. 무거운, 금액이 막대한. The reckless driver was forced to pay a hefty fine for speeding in a school zone. On edge. Idiom. 안절부절 못하여, 긴장한. The continuous sound of distant explosions kept the city residents on edge all night. Choke point. Noun. 요충지, 병목 구간. The narrow canal is a crucial maritime choke point for international shipping trade. 시사 용어 해설. Strait of Hormuz, 호르무즈 해협. 중동의 사우디아라비아, 쿠웨이트, 이란 등 산유국들이 수출하는 원유를 실은 유조선들이 반드시 통과해야 하는 좁은 바닷길입니다. 전 세계 원유 물동량의 약 20%가 이곳을 지나가기 때문에 이곳이 막히면 전 세계 경제가 마비되는 오일 쇼크가 발생합니다. Ceasefire, 휴전, 정전. 완전히 전쟁을 끝내는 평화조약, Peace Treaty와 달리 단순히 무력을 사용하는 행위만 일시적으로 멈추기로 합의한 아슬아슬한 상태를 말합니다. 이란 미국 간의 이 휴전 협정은 언제든 작은 충돌로도 다시 깨질 수 있습니다.
Number 10. 2. PM Modi congratulates Abiy Ahmed Ali on Ethiopian election victory. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi publicly extended his warmest congratulations to Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali following his sweeping victory in the recent parliamentary elections. Modi officially praised both the Ethiopian leader and his ruling Prosperity Party for securing such a decisive and historic electoral win. During the diplomatic exchange, the Indian Prime Minister strongly reaffirmed New Delhi's unwavering commitment to further strengthening the robust bilateral ties between the two nations. This congratulatory message highlights India's broader geopolitical strategy to actively expand its diplomatic and economic footprint across the rapidly growing East African region. By warmly engaging with victorious African leaders, India aims to position itself as an indispensable strategic partner for the Global South in countering the influence of other major world powers. Vocabulary. Extend. Verb. 인사, 감사 등을 전하다, 연장하다. The CEO extended his deep gratitude to the staff for their hard work. Sweeping. Adjective. 압도적인, 전면적인. The opposition party won a sweeping victory in the recent national elections. Decisive. Adjective. 결정적인, 단호한. The swift military intervention played a decisive role in ending the civil war. Reaffirm. Verb. 재확인하다. The two presidents met to reaffirm their mutual commitment to the peace treaty. Unwavering. Adjective. 확고한, 흔들림 없는. She maintained an unwavering belief in her son's innocence despite the rumors. Bilateral. Adjective. 양자 간의, 쌍방의. The two nations signed a new bilateral trade agreement to lower tariffs. Footprint. Noun. 발자취, 영향력, 기업의 진출 영역. The tech giant is expanding its global footprint by opening offices in Asia. Engage with. Phrasal verb. 와 교류하다, 관계를 맺다. Good leaders always take the time to engage with their local communities. Indispensable. Adjective. 없어서는 안 돼, 필수적인. A smartphone has become an indispensable tool for modern daily life. Counter. Verb. 반박하다, 대응하다, 견제하다. The government launched a campaign to counter the spread of fake news. 시사 용어 해설. Bilateral ties, 양자 관계. 두 국가, bilateral. 사이에서 맺어지는 외교적, 경제적 관계를 뜻합니다. 반대로 세 나라 이상이 모여 협상하는 것은 multilateral, 다자간이라고 부릅니다. 뉴델리, 뉴데일리. 인도의 수도 이름으로 국제 뉴스에서는 단순히 도시 이름이 아니라 인도 정부나 인도의 공식 외교 채널을 비유적으로 칭할 때 자주 사용됩니다. 예, 워싱턴, 미국 정부, 베이징, 중국 정부.